There's a few of you in already. And then we will make a start. So my name is Hannah Gray. I'm the founder of the Office Management Group, which is where the Office Management Portal sits now. And for those of you who are already members, I think most of you are, this is a session to share the templates that we've got on there and how you can make the most of them and how to use them. So some of you, I think, are already enhanced members, or you purchase the templates on pay-as-you-go perhaps, and some of you might be considering upgrading, and hopefully your companies will pay, because they definitely should do, so that you can access this library of templates and use them for your business. So when you're in the portal, the first thing to note is that any new templates, tips, forum topics, etc. that we add will be notifying you up here in the little notification button. So you'll have, for example, I've just added a COVID template. So if you log into the portal now, you'll probably see a notification there saying that this template's been uploaded. It will give you the title of the template. And then if you click on it, you'll be able to then be taken directly to that tip or template or whatever it is. So that's the best way to keep up to date with what we're adding and updating, because we continuously add new templates and we continuously add tips and advice and so on, as well as update our templates, particularly where things like health and safety are concerned. Or for example, if I just think that there's improvements that we could make to existing templates, then we'll update them and pop them in there. Another thing that one of my team is working on at the moment is going through all the templates. I think we've done most of them now, but there's still a few to go, and converting them so that there's always the G Suite link, so you can access it in Google Docs or Google Sheets, or Google Slides, I think is the other one, whichever one might be more useful for you. So you've always got that option with our templates of both those systems from Office and Google. So that's the best way to see the new ones. Of course, if you know what you're looking for, the alternative is to come into the templates category, which you can get to from the left menu or from down here in the main screen, and do a search. So you might want to find everything to do with health and safety. So if you just type in health, you'll see all the templates and also the webinars that we do relating to health and safety, because they currently sit in the templates section. So you might want the induction presentation. I'm going to open this one up to start with, because this is quite a useful one to have for a lot of companies who don't currently do a health and safety and wellness induction. With all of our templates, you'll see this section here which talks about how to use them, what it's for, and there might be some key elements within this text here. It's always quite brief about how best to put them out there to your staff, or how best to share the policies and so on and so forth. And so this one talks about the key items being health and safety, DSC and fire safety, and the fact that you might want to add a short test at the end to it for fun, or to check that people have understood the contents, because that's one of the things the health and safety executive looks for when you're training people in health and safety, is their competency and their understanding, rather than just the fact that they confirm they've read it. So if we download this one, start with. If you've got any requests for any templates that you want to see, or any templates that you would like to be added in the future, we've got about 200 or so on our list and in draft. So we're constantly, as I say, adding new ones to it. COVID's taken priority at the moment to create templates for that. But yeah, if there's ever any templates that you think you want to see on there, then do drop us a line now or in the future, and we can put them on. So you'll see, like I said, this is the Google Slides link, so you can just delete that slide if it's not for you, and then you'll see the template starting to kick in. So with most of them, not all, but I've put things like this here. It might be obvious, it might not be. It depends on you know, your level of experience, and also your level of competency with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, and also Excel. So you can go to the master slide section up here and then paste in, this is my sort of company slide at the moment with my black and white logo in the background, but you can paste your own company's master logo, master slides, branding, etc. in there, and then it will, once you delete this one, it will change that branding over. So you'll have some adjustments to make to the slides, but the text will stay the same. So there's an org chart in there, so if you're doing the induction presentation in person, you can introduce your team, if you have a team, the agenda, and then it goes into about your workplace, and some of the health and safety responsibilities, and then some DSE training, so you can physically be in the room teaching them how to sit at their desks and sharing some information there, which will cover a big health and safety requirement in the UK here. Fire safety information, again, we should be sharing this with new joiners and then every year with all staff, so that will cover that. And as I say, you could do a test at the end, give it out on paper, send them, you know, there's some people I know that use like Jotform and SurveyMonkey to do tests with their staff that way to sort of see how they have taken the information in. So lots of different ways of doing it. Disaster recovery, BCP processes and procedures there as well. So that's one of the really useful ones that you can make your own. We've just plotted pictures and things in there that might not be on brand for you, but yeah, you can change it all around. And as I say, this will just pop up with comments where we think it's suitable to add a little bit more information or how-tos. That's the facilities health and safety induction template. Another one that I want to show you for anyone that's not already been on it is the health and safety gap analysis document, which I'm just trying to find now. There we go, the self-assessment. So Laura, who did a webinar a couple of weeks ago to show anyone who wanted to join the portal how she uses it as an office manager and PA, she touched on this, but didn't show us it in detail because there is quite a lot to it. And again, we have webinars for this, so you can watch a pre-recorded one, or we'll be doing them again in the future. We do them quite regularly, these ones. And you can go through this check. In there, so yes, we review our policy and we update it, and you can make notes saying Hannah does this. And it's an audit for yourself, for your company, to show where you're at in terms of health and safety requirements. And then obviously if you need to do desk assessments, you can say remind HR to share email, training, etc. And then you can send this obviously off to anybody that might need to see it, highlight it for them and say, you know, can you follow up on these action items? But it's a really good way of showing that you're recognising that you have a responsibility in terms of health and safety and trying to understand what those responsibilities are. In all my years of office management, I could never find anything in IOSH or NEBOSH or any of the other health and safety courses, little e-learning online courses, that actually said to me, Hannah, as the office manager, as the person responsible for health and safety in your premises, this is what you need to do. And that was things like emergency light testing, until I sat down with my engineers and the guy that did a health and safety audit for me 7 years ago or more, where I learned most of this stuff because I kept asking him. I'm sure I was a pain. I didn't know that this was a legal requirement as part of the fire regulatory reform and as part of the Health and Safety at Work Act. So I think by having this, you can have that confidence and that comfort that most of the things, we can't obviously outline everything because we don't know everybody's individual businesses, but generally if you're in an office and that's your main activity, you're not making things in factories or doing delivery driving or in a care home, this will cover the majority of things that you need to be doing for that premises. You can go through and save that down, and then you can review it each year, and it can start to form part of your risk assessment and your health and safety policies as well. Any questions so far on any of those? I'm just going to open up the chat. Okay. So yeah, all sorts of health and safety documents in there. Sticking with health and safety for a second, I'm going to show a couple of other things that I've uploaded recently. This is a top tips leaflet. I spoke at the PA show, I think it was last February, and I produced this leaflet to give out as a handout as part of my presentation. So forgive the format of it. My designers did it like this, and I found it the other day for a client, and I thought I'll pop it on here for free. So if you're not an enhanced member, don't worry, you can still access this for free. And it's just a top 10 checklist of things that you should be doing in your office. Obviously for the massive list, I would refer to that self-assessment form, but this is a really nice, simple list to look at with reasons as to why, what, you know, tips and hints as to how to do it, to make sure that you're on track with health and safety, and some examples there about the reasonably practicable rationale that the HSE give on the balance of managing health and safety for your companies. And then this morning I've just uploaded this COVID policy and procedures. So I did an Instagram live a little while ago. So if anyone follows us on Instagram or wants to, it's at the Office Management Group. And you can see here, or in the description I should say, that I've mentioned that if you have more than 50 staff in your company, there's a lot of people saying about having to publish the risk assessment. But if you read the HSE and the government's guidance, they're recommending, so first of all, it's not a requirement, but when they recommend stuff, it's best to do it, because otherwise they'll challenge and ask you why you haven't if something does happen. But it's a recommendation, not a legal requirement, and it's not to publish your actual risk assessment. Don't go putting that online, because I just think you're opening up a big can of worms for staff to come to you and say, you haven't covered this, you haven't covered that, and so on, because it's so speculative. People have got so many different opinions on it because it's such a personal thing to everybody. So don't put your risk assessment online. They want you to share your findings, the results of your risk assessment. That can be something as simple as your policy and procedures, and this can be in turn the same document that you send to all your staff before they come back to work, or if they're already coming back, you say these are the procedures that we have set out, the actions that we've taken, the risk assessment results, and what we need you to do now in order to keep everybody safe. So a little bit of a blurb about health and safety as an overview. I've taken this from the health and safety policy template that's already within the portal, so there's some consistency there if you're using multiple templates. You can take it from your own health and safety policy, that kind of introduction overview piece at the start. Say we take health and safety very seriously, the board, directors, partners, whoever it is, are responsible. All employees have a responsibility as well. We're committed to managing it, and so on and so forth. All this blurb here. And then saying, particularly in light of COVID and so on, we go into the COVID policy. We say, you know, we've done our risk assessment and here are the results, what actions we've taken, we're continuing to take, employee responsibilities, contractor and visitor responsibilities, and off we go into the main document. So you'll see it's really simple, just a few bullets, because you want this to be readable. So it's no more than 5 pages long, and then the visitor and contractor responsibilities. And if today I get time, I'm running out of time slowly but surely, if not tomorrow, I'm going to turn this document here into a more formal one that you can then share with your contractors and get them to sign before they come to site, so that you know that they're safe and they understand your rules about your site as well as you understanding their processes. And then I couldn't find any sort of symbols, and forgive the kind of different sizes because I did it in a bit of a hurry this morning, but you get the idea that you can then create your own kind of I'm back. Can everyone hear me? Can you chat and let me know? I'm not sure what happened there. It seemed to disappear. So open up chat. Am I back? You're back. I'm back. Okay, good. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Okay, I think the internet went suddenly. That's always helpful. Yeah, so you can use this, make it your own, brand it up, and pop that around the office, but also put it on your website, because that's a really nice, clear action of we've done this, we've done a risk assessment, and so on and so forth. Anyone that's been to the hairdressers or a bar or something will probably see the posters come out saying we're a COVID secure salon and things, and they'll have something similar to this with the steps they've taken. That's that new document there. Okay, I'm going to show you office moves now. So I know there's a few people that have got office moves planned in the future. There's a few really useful things in here that we've worked on and loaded. One is choosing your office. So there's some questions here, really simple list again, but of things that you may not think of because A, you've never done this before, or B, it's just not something that would come to mind. Even if you've done it before, you might forget what to ask or whatever it is. It's just some guidance on what to ask your real estate advisor in advance. And again, we've got the Google Doc version there. So things like what's your experience as an advisor broker? This is when you're looking for your real estate agent and or you've found the property that you're looking for or you're asking for. So, you know, there's 4 pages of questions because you can delete this, you can remove anything you don't want to, but we'd rather supply you with more information than not, so you can strip it back as you need to. And similarly, there's questions for your landlord in here as well. So when you do go to a new office, if it's leased or even if you're going to a serviced office, it's useful to know who's responsible for what and where that kind of boundary line lies. So these are good questions to ask for a leased office in there. And then there should be, I'm going to do a search, Landlord M&E Queries, here we go. This one is aimed at identifying who is responsible for what in terms of your mechanical and electrical items within the premises. So sometimes, and it differs so much building to building, I've seen of all the buildings I've worked in and all the buildings I've supported in terms of my client support, it varies so much. Some look after aircon and it's built into the service charge, some don't, some look after an element of it, but then you have to look after the rest. Some do emergency light testing, some don't, Legionnaires, some don't, and so on and so forth. So this should cover pretty much all of the M&E that's typical for an office layout. And they can basically, you can send this to them and say, can you fill this out so I know who's responsible for what? Because it won't be in your fit out guide necessarily, in your tenant handbook necessarily, it won't be in your fit out guide, it won't be in your lease. So this is the best way to understand from the off, even before you're in the office, who's responsible for what, because then you'll know what to tender in terms of your services for supporting your office, getting an engineer and using an engineering company. So they can just go through and say, yep, that's us, that's you, and so on and so forth. Send it back to you, and then you've got the answers to then start looking for that support that you need. And if you haven't already done it in your existing building and you still don't quite know where the line lies, there's no better time to do it than now. So that's that one. Then going back to office moves. So whenever, and it's going to open up my emails now, so we'll try and quickly move this over. Here we go. Whenever you're doing an office move, there's so many different processes that you can follow, but I think a really good one is to do a move completion email. So when the move is complete, you might have done it in different phases, but if you're doing it in different phases, you would do it at the end of each phase to let people know that their particular phase is complete, or if it's all in one go. Sending this move completion email is a really nice way of saying your desk, your space is ready, and you might then follow off of the back of that to specific users, specific employers, and say there was an issue with your particular move, we've lost something of yours, but we're on the case by finding it, so let me know if there's any concerns, whatever it might be, because these things happen. This is a move completion email, and what you can do then is send a welcome pack with your move. This is a really nice simple template. So if anybody does move offices, you can give them a welcome pack. You can print it and put it on their desk. You can send it to them if you're more paperless and environmentally sound. But it's just, you know, a nice welcome from your CEO or managing partners, whatever it might be. Get them to write that and pop it in there, or you write it on their behalf and they say that's fine, go ahead. And then the building information, you can put some health and safety information in here as well, about fire safety, assembly points and things, meeting rooms, you know, passwords for Wi-Fi, all this stuff you can just chuck in here, give it to everybody, and happy days, they've got the information that they need to enjoy that new office. Things like what's nearby, cafes, gyms, bars, etc. when life is back to normal. And you might even be able to get discount codes for them for the first time you've moved in. I know some clients that have used this manual and done that and contacted bars and restaurants and said, look, we're going to be new to that area. Your bar is right below our office. We'd love to come and have some drinks there. Can you do us a discount voucher for the first few weeks we're there? We used to have vouchers, actually. We used to have a discount code for Costa Coffee because our office was right next to it. So always ask if you haven't already. And then lastly, in the office move section, I'm going to show you the project plan, if I can find it, office relocation planner. So you might have seen in there practical completion sign off. So if you're giving the okay to your fit out contractor, called practical completion or PC, there's a template in there that you can use to do that and say, yep, it's all good, and sign it off, and they sign it off, and you create your list of snags from there. So this is the action list for an actual office move, and it's split out into phases. There's a few versions of this particular document. This one I prefer because it's one long list, but there are some available in here where it splits out the different stages of the project, being sourcing, so finding your new office, the fit out, the dilapidation, so leaving your current office and stripping it back to how it was before you moved in and put your own fit out on it and your own stamp on it, the actual move. I'm sure there's some legals in here as well, but yeah, there's all sorts of categories and you can change them as you want to, and obviously filter out as to what's what. And this is just a long, long list again of things that we think are quite common when an office move is concerned. You can also use it just for an internal office move shuffle, so you can strip out by filtering the phase, strip out all of the things that aren't necessary and just focus on the move section, for example, because you're doing a move internally and not actually moving offices. And then popping in your due date. So these have gone red. This one should have gone red as well, actually, but they've gone red because they've gone past due. And then you can put your statuses in here and they'll change colours because everything's all conditional formatted. Assign it to people. I think we've got in here the admin tab, so you can change this to be, you know, whoever it's assigned to by name or particular contractors or groups of people and so on, and you can add to that, so it's all coded back to that main action list sheet. And then you get a nice summary here showing what's outstanding. Obviously pretty much everything is at the moment, and the progress bar to show where you're at so that people can see that progress and how it's all going as a project as a whole. Anything else anyone wants me to show them on the move section? Let's check. There we are, good, okay. And then I'm going to go to joiners and leavers. So what we're going to be working on in the coming weeks is putting a lot more of this into automated forms, and particularly with G Suite, and doing it in there to show some forms where you can fill it in as a form and then it updates the spreadsheet and things behind it. So there is one here which is a tracker for all your joiners and your leavers, and we're going to get these to tie up as well so that if somebody leaves they automatically go to inactive and so on and so forth. So I'll talk you through those. Again, there's the Google Sheets template on that first tab. This is basically every single joiner. You could even put in here people unnamed, so for example new hire, to help you manage your capacities in your office. So you don't have a start date for them yet, you might not know whether they're permanent or temporary, but you know what department they're in because the headcount's been signed off. You might know their title, the manager and so on at this point, but at least then you can start to see your joiner pipeline and manage your capacities. And then you go through, once they're named and you've got a start date, to set up the IT, the phones and so on and so forth, and you can add and take away to these as you need to and when they're complete. Much the same in reverse for a leaver tracker, so when you've cleared their desk, cut off their security card, IT, etc. And then within this one as well, you've got health and safety, so the various things that you would want to train them on and when they've been completed, and then any comments on there, so making sure that these are done regularly. And what we're aiming to do is make this sheet and some Google Sheets convert so that if you add someone as a joiner, they appear on this health and safety tracker as well, and then they'll be inactive if they've become a leaver and so on. So we'll make it a bit more automated in the future. Okay, new joiner induction sign-offs, there's all sorts of things like that, welcome packs and pages. Let's have a look at housekeeping. So a number of people don't do housekeeping, but it's a funny one with health and safety because they recommend that you do some sort of housekeeping. I think that the actual legislation does say it in that sense, but it doesn't say exactly what they mean by it. My interpretation and that of a lot of other health and safety consultants is that you do some sort of formal check and you record that of your office or of your premises regularly, and you can determine what that means in terms of how often you do it and what sort of things you need to check for. This is a really, really simple way of doing it, particularly if you're in a small office and you can pretty much see all of it from your desk, of checking the various things. So there's some suggestions here of what to check for, and you can just put your signature in each time you check it. So you might decide to do it once a week formally, but you're kind of aware of it every day, or you might want to do it twice a week, every day, whatever suits. And then every other month, we just put a reminder in there to check your first aid supplies as well, because obviously they have expiry dates and people use the stock and things. So you'll be able to stay on top of that. That's a really simple one. There is a more complex one in Excel here if you've got multiple floors, lots of things to check, comms room, gas suppression system, CCTV, and so on and so forth, all in there. Management information pack. Yes, I want to show you guys this one. This is something I started doing in a couple of my previous employed roles, where I managed big teams, I had big budgets, but I was also making big savings for the company. So in my time in my last 2 permanent roles, I saved them both a combined total of £1.1 million per year on what we were spending on suppliers and equipment and services and so on and so forth. So one of my bosses said to me, you need to start talking about this, like you're making massive savings for us on our revenue, which even though you're not a revenue generating employee, you're making a massive difference to our balance books and our balance sheets. So she wanted me to produce this pack, and she said, do a management information pack. So I was like, fine, okay, let's give this a go. And this is what it ended up looking like, more or less. So I would highlight, I might do this quarterly, annually, whatever really suited, and depending on how much was going on at the time in the business. But I'd highlight in here any achievements that I'd made or the team had made, no matter how big or small. So I did some fit out works, I improved the air conditioning system that had so many issues in one of the offices I worked in, did lots of office moves, made general improvements, built relationships, whatever, you know, was suitable to pop in here as highlight. It really helps you to sort of sit back and go, wow, okay, I've achieved a lot in this period, this quarter, this 6 month period, whatever it might be, and take that moment to take stock and celebrate yourself, because we don't do it often enough. And you can put your 2020 objectives in here if you want to, and that will help you to build your personal development plan. Strategic items, you might then have actionable items. So these are all just examples in here. And then you can paste a copy of your budget if you have one. I'm going to try and build this spreadsheet again one day. This is I was sent it actually, and I lost it somehow, but this is a really great budget. It used to show run rates and all the tabs linked. It was wonderful, and I really need to get hold of something like that again to upload for you. But you can insert here, you know, your spend, your run rates, where you are compared to your budget if you have one, or if not, you can just kind of start to create one and show what's going on. To give that information there. And then any savings you've made. So again, there's some examples here of savings you've actually made to date, potential savings. And then this one I found quite useful, because this started to show me, and I wasn't really always aware, because I had a team of sort of 10 people, receptionists, temp receptionists, facilities people, my assistant, my office junior, and the cleaning team and the housekeeping team as well. So it really started to show me what was actually going on in the business as I kind of got more senior and I was going for more like a COO type role, more about the operations and the office management side that I'd lost touch with a little bit as my career progressed. So we were showing how many moves were carried out, how many people moved in those moves, joiners in, leavers out. You can see we were quite busy. Some of these I think are the actual figures. Leavers out, transfers in, so these are people maybe just moving between departments or coming in from other country offices or other offices around the UK, and out again. AC complaints, told you we had issues. Meetings held, we were very busy in that sense, and number of conferences and events as well, with the approximate number of attendees. So my team used to track some of this for us so that we could then share results. And obviously as things got busier, which they did, it meant that I could then go to my manager and say, look, last year we did this many, this year we've done this many, I need another head count. And I would get it often because I had the results to back it up. So yeah, and then capacities overview. So this is a snapshot from a template that I believe is also in the portal in an Excel sheet, and it can help you manage your capacities. So talking about that pipeline in that joiner leaver tracker, you can have your sort of headcount ask, your actual headcount that's bums on seats, taking up desk space, because that's what we care about rather than the actual headcount, as it were, unless you're in HR. How many are added to the floor if you're doing moves and you've got various floors and you're looking at swapping around to make space. Total proposed headcount, known leavers, current desks on floors, therefore it works out your actual capacity. I might open that spreadsheet up if anyone wants to see it, just let me know and I can show you in more detail. But that's my sort of interpretation of an MI pack in our office management roles, and obviously you can add to that whatever you want to in terms of your own responsibilities, but I think it's a really good one to showcase who you are, what you're doing for the business, what you're working on, your contributions, and so on and so forth. Okay, there's all sorts of other things in here, as you can see on that side. Procurement, I'm going to show you very briefly the, what one should we do? Let's do the mobile phone one, because I don't think we've had a look at this one for a while. So there's various contracted tendering templates in here: stationery, coffee machines, cleaning. I think we've got plants. If not, it's on the list to do. But what you can do is go into a lot of these. They'll be automated with sums, and there's always generally a summary sheet to show kind of high level what the results are of your tender. So in here you can paste your current data, so mobile numbers, what handsets they've got. You might be able to get this from your current provider. If you haven't got many staff, you could potentially do it manually. And then termination dates and early termination fees if they're in contracts. And then this is the summary page that we'll come back to, but these are all the detailed proposals. So you can put your current contract in here and then what you've got. So you might have different tariffs and then the amount of mobiles that you've got on those and the cost per month, and it'll work out the totals. Termination fees, so if there are any to pay because you're pulling some out of contract to move everybody in bulk to a new contract, which a lot of companies do at certain points. And then it will show in summary what the termination costs are, total monthly, and it will work out all the bits and bobs down here to help show that expat. And then you can start to put in with your new companies and new networks and so on the different quotes. I think we've done 4 or so here, 5. So you can easily compare quite a few, and you can always just copy these whole sections out and paste them on the end if you want to. Tender comments, so you might want to ask each of your new suppliers or different networks here, and you can just copy this and paste it down what these various things are in terms of their actual service provision to you, and make notes there. Recent build data, you can do an import here and then share that spreadsheet with anyone tendering for it. And then in the summary it will show something like this, hopefully. So it will pull those through and it will show you what they're proposing. So you might have things like this, a mixture of different data packages, or they might just say all on 3 gig or whatever, contract term, monthly cost, and then any savings making to the current term that you'll have been on and that you'll have paid. And tech funds as well, if anyone knows about those, they often give you a tech fund with big contracts. So you might not have brand new handsets, and then through the term, every new contract that you add on will add tech to your tech fund, and then you can use it to upgrade all your users, for example, at once, or buy other equipment and so on and so forth. So make sure you know about your tech fund there. So hopefully that's helped with that one. There's a very quick overview. Yeah, MPS insurance, there's quite a few procurement templates there, and as I say, more to come. BCP, I showed someone this the other day, and she's a standard member, she's upgraded now, and she had no idea that the templates were in here like this. And I showed her the BCP one and she was like, oh my God, this is incredible. We had a quote for £5,000 for someone to be our business continuity plan, and I can do it just like this from the portal. So again, it's all in our kind of branding at the moment, but this is a BCP policy. And to toot my own trumpet, because I'm going to do it just for fun, is so City Index was one of the companies I worked at as the global head of facilities, and they were established in 1983, and I always remember that because it's the year I was born. And they got okay scores on audit for their BCP, but they're a financial company and they're spread trading. So they basically asked me to overhaul the BCP. No one was really looking after it, so I worked on it for about 3 to 6 months, got a committee going, got the global committee going, and set out a standard document and all sorts of other resources and documents for us to use. And the end result was, when we got re-audited later that year, it was the highest ever audit score that the company had ever had since being established for BCP. I'm so chuffed with that. So yeah, you might get the highest ever audit score if you use these templates. So this is the BCP template. I'm not going to go into all these pages because it's a lot of text, but there's so much in here, and it covers different scenarios. So you might want to add to this or change them. There is pandemic in here, which actually doesn't say very much because no one's ever really been through one before. I'm sure we can elaborate on that now, by epidemic. But it just goes through different scenarios, including even what if your payroll provider just stops business or their systems fail, how will you pay employers? Because you need to make sure you're paying them because they've all got dependencies on that salary coming in. So it looks at all these different incidents or possible events, and then a kind of 3-stage step on how you would recover from it. And then there's some forms in here. You might not use some of these if you're a much bigger company and you've got online external systems, but they're here for smaller companies as well, with some appendix. And then right at the end, got a budget as well. It's really good for auditing to have a budget for your BCP in place, and then a disclosure document, so you can literally just pull out this 1-pager, pop it on your website or share it with clients to show what your BCP responsibilities are, rather than sharing the whole policy with them. You wouldn't probably want to do. That's BCP. My Google's gone funny. Don't know if anyone else can see that. Okay, let's go back to employment. I'm not going to go into too much, but I uploaded a job spec the other day for Office Manager, which is quite useful. And if you haven't got a formal job spec, I'd definitely recommend downloading that and editing it to suit your role and what you do. There's some privacy policies on here, so if you guys do recruitment, make sure you've got that available to anybody applying for roles. COVID return to work surveys, yeah, annual appraisals. There's quite a few bits and pieces in here, reference requests and so on about that. And I think we even loaded some interview questions if you ever interview office managers as well. Events, so let's have a look. Event project planner. So this is one I use for anyone that's ever been to our London events. This is the planner that we use to do those. So again, you change it however you want. These are hopefully a good starting point, but goodie bags, event photos, giveaways, bar, decor, balloons, so on and so forth, and assigning them when do they need to be done by, budget tracker, again with various things on it, and then running order, so you know what's going to happen when, doors open, post event, pat down, and so on. So really simple, but hopefully a time saver there. Labels, photography signs, you know, if you're doing an external event, we used to host them at ING and have our investors come along. We did one at Mahiki once, it was really good fun, but we would want those up because we were taking photos. So just some disclosure signs there. Compliance documents, privacy policies that should go on your website, bring your own device, networking and social media use, all sorts of things in there. And then I just recently added this staff expenses form. It's really simple, but this was a new section. Don't think we're going to open it, are we? There we go. Which you can use for staff to just have their reimbursement sent back, fill it in, and you can change the reasons on here. This tab, add different reasons and codes and so on and so forth in currencies, etc., etc. And then they can print that off. It should print in a print format nice and clearly, or email it over and then get their reimbursement paid. Okay, I think we're pretty much running on time now. So it's a couple of minutes left. Does anybody want me to show them any other templates? Has anyone got any questions? Has that been useful to see what there is, but also how to use some of the documents? Was that geared okay for you? Okay, all right, well, I said I would give you a code for the portal discount. So anyone that is interested in joining and upgrading to the enhanced membership, I'll send a code around shortly for, I think it's 30% off. Get your company to pay, definitely get your company to pay, because there's so much in here that's a massive money saver and time saver for them. Pleasure, you're welcome. Yeah, so do shout if there's ever any templates you want to see on there, any questions about existing ones or how to use them. I'm here to help, so let me know, and hopefully that is useful for you, and I'll see you all very soon. Enjoy your day.